They say some houses are alive, not haunted, but breathing, watching, feeding. Some places remember every footstep, every whisper, every drop of blood spilled between their walls. James didn't believe any of that, not until he rented the house on Cold Pine Road. James was looking for isolation. After a breakup, job loss, and months of restless city noise, he needed quiet, real quiet. So when he found a month-to-month listing for a farmhouse in rural Vermont, ridiculously cheap and buried in snow and silence, he didn't think twice. It was old, 130 years at least, but stood tall with a sort of rugged dignity. The trees around it didn't sway, the wind didn't seem to reach it. There was a kind of stillness there that most people would find unnerving. But for James, it was perfect. Inside, the house was colder than outside. The kind of cold that seemed to seep from the walls, thick and damp. Not the result of poor insulation, something deeper. The rooms were dim even with the lights on, the corners full of shadows that didn't want to leave. James brushed it off. Old houses always came with quirks. But on the first night, he heard it. At exactly 2:17 a.m., just as he was drifting off, 3 soft notes floated through the silence. A whistled tune. Faint, rhythmic, hollow, not from outside, but from inside the walls. He froze, held his breath, waited, nothing. The next night, the same thing, same time, same 3 notes. He checked every vent, every pipe, every crevice. Nothing explained the sound. No animals, no wind, just that cold whistle like someone standing right behind the plaster. By the 4th night, James tried to ignore it, covered his ears with a pillow. The moment he closed his eyes, the tune came again, closer this time. It seemed to be traveling. From one wall to the next, like something crawling through the house's skeleton. He didn't sleep. In the morning, he noticed scratches on the inside of his bedroom door. Deep ones, like fingernails. He checked every room. All locked, all windows shut. He lived alone. James started leaving his bedroom light on, just in case. By the 6th night, he began sleepwalking. He'd wake up standing in other rooms, sometimes with objects in his hands. Chalk, old keys, burnt matches. Once he found himself at 3 a.m. drawing symbols on the walls. The worst part? He didn't remember doing any of it. Strange circles with jagged lines and loops, all connecting through hallways. Behind the living room coat rack, he noticed a faint outline, like the imprint of a door. It wasn't in the original floor plan. James tapped the wall, hollow, pressed harder. Something behind it tapped back. Panic set in. He tried contacting the landlord, but calls went unanswered. The property listing vanished. He searched online and found obscure message board threads about the house, stories going back decades, same tune, same hour, same silence. One post stood out. A woman named Ruth wrote, "There's something in the walls. It whistles. It's older than the house, maybe older than the land. Don't acknowledge it, don't answer it, and for God's sake, don't whistle back." James couldn't stop thinking about that. He kept his phone recording at night. On playback, the audio would glitch every time the whistling happened. Static, whispers, a faint voice under the whistle, saying something he couldn't quite understand. He didn't want to believe it, but something about that tune, it started sounding familiar, like a lullaby from childhood, but twisted, slower, as if it had been waiting for him. One night, without realizing it, he whistled it back, just 3 notes, soft, echoed into the dark. The moment the sound left his lips, the house answered. It groaned, the floorboards creaked, the lights flickered, and then silence. Not peace, absence. From within the walls, something moved. Not an animal, not a rat, something walking. The air turned bitter, thick. He couldn't breathe right. The walls seemed to pulse like veins. The symbols he'd drawn began glowing faintly as if lit from behind. That night, he dreamed of a tall, hollow figure. Its skin was ashen, eyes empty, its mouth didn't move. It just whistled. James couldn't look away. It stood in a dark tunnel, motionless, while dozens of others, children, adults, some only half-formed, crawled along the walls behind it, whispering that same tune. When he woke, the chalk door had opened. Where there had once been drywall, there was now a pitch-black tunnel. A cold breeze came from it. It smelled like wet earth and iron. James tried to leave. He ran, took his car, GPS, phone. None of it worked. The roads looped back to the house. Time warped, daylight never came. Or maybe it did, and he just never saw it again. The house wouldn't let him go. The whistling changed. It was no longer simple. Now it was melodic, full of meaning. He could almost understand it. It was speaking, telling him something, inviting him. And one night he accepted. He stood before the tunnel, barefoot, eyes glazed, and he whistled the full tune. The walls opened. What came out was not a ghost, not a demon, just a shape, a thing that had always been there. It took his hand, and he walked into the dark. 3 weeks later, a new listing appeared. Charming rustic home, quiet, isolated, perfect for artists, writers, and nature lovers. Another visitor came. They moved in, unpacked, and on their first night, just past 2:17 a.m., they heard it. 3 soft notes from the walls, waiting.